আমি দেবো আমি দেবো করতে হবে ওটার মধ্যে আমার জল দিতে হবে টাকা পুরো
Hi, folks. We'll be starting shortly. Just a small request. I see three accounts with a funny name, Unravel Your Personality. Uh, it would be, we would be really grateful if, you could probably indicate if the organization that you're from or just change the name. Thank you, folks from School Fire Software Solutions, for indicating that.
Vivek, you want to give them an update about the recordings where they will be available probably later on once this is done?
Yeah, towards the end, we'll have an entire section that will talk about the resources and where they're available. So probably we can give them an update.
Great. Great.
Hi, folks. We'll be starting shortly. Just another 2 minutes to give time for everybody to join in. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. I think there are enough participants now, and I think we can start off. Uh, Good afternoon and welcome to the second masterclass uh, on UHI. Yesterday, we had about 175 participants, and we had a very active participation in the post Q&A session. So this is a continuation of the masterclass that we had yesterday. If you missed out on the masterclass yesterday, we will be posting these recordings, and we will actually have a rerun of these masterclasses on 11th and 12th. So you can attend the masterclass on 11th, which will be a repeat of the masterclass that we had yesterday. So without further ado, Naresh, if you can project the screen, please.
Yes, once again.
So very quickly, what we'd like to cover, next slide, please, is before we start off some quick house rules. We'll be using a talking stick model, wherein during the Q&A session, the moderator, which is me, Vivek, I'll be calling out names and people can then speak. At any point, you can use the chat window to post your questions. We would sincerely request everybody to keep their mics on mute so that the speaker is not disturbed at any point. And finally, in terms of the social media usage, please feel free to live tweet about this class, share about this class with your colleagues, with your, with the people that you're studying with if you're a student. Again, as I said, we will have a repeat of these master classes on 11th and 12th. Next slide, please. Very quickly going over the agenda, we'll have a quick opening address. Then we'll jump straight into where we left off yesterday, which is looking at the UHI functional flows and the architecture. Then for the next about an hour, we'll go through how NHA has built the reference end user application and the health service provider application, followed by a session on how do you build audio and video communication through an open tool called Webrtc. Finally, in the last 10 minutes of the session before the Q&A, we'll be going through the resources that are available on UHI, and also we'll go through the different details that are required for you to participate in the hackathon, right? So without further ado, over to you, Kiran Gopal sir.
Yeah, thank you, Vivek. and welcome all everyone to this second day of the master classes that we are holding for this upcoming hackathon. Yesterday we really had a very good discussion and the Q&A session was really lively, and some of the questions that you have raised have been very useful for us, and this is exactly what we intend to achieve through this hackathon, like tap into your own understanding, your creativity to build these solutions on this UHI, and also even to strengthen the protocol on which UHI is built. So you would actually be contributing to the core of this core functionality of this whole ecosystem that we are trying to build. So today the team will try to cover the functional architecture, and also, like I said yesterday, we also have tried to build a few reference applications. I mean, obviously, just building a gateway and having a protocol would not have sufficed. And we also wanted to showcase what can be done using the system that is being built, or using the barebone skeleton that we have built. So the EUA, the end user application, and the health service provider application are two applications our team has built, and they will run you through what all functionalities are there so that you are aware of the capabilities of the system currently and what can be even done, what can be done. And the code walkthrough should give you an idea of and help you in developing your own code when you're trying to build the solutions. So, and one of the key parts of UHI or this interoperability is trying to bring in video consultation and make it easier for people to communicate over different platforms. And we have used Webrtc, which is a very standard protocol, and as we have found out that we found that majority of the applications that use video consult or have a video calling facility, even the current one, Zoom, that we are using, use a version of it. I mean, this is the base protocol, or on which everything else is built. So we therefore went to the basics and tried to look at this core protocol, and some of the work that we have done in this will give you an idea of how we are trying to use native versions to on top of which you can build your own systems. And if your system is already using a certain protocol or certain system, how it can be integrated, or how it can actually communicate with another system which is using a different system. Because in most of the cases, the underlying protocol would have been a Webrtc. So this way, this was why we chose Webrtc for our video calling protocol. And when you really look at the demo of all these applications and the capabilities, this is where you will also get more ideas. And when we eventually come out and release the challenges, you will see where these new challenges will fit in. In fact, I'm 100% sure that when you look at what we are showing you today, you would realize that, oh, this could be an additional feature, or this could be made better, or this could be added on to this, or why are we doing a search result like this? Maybe it could be done in a better way. In fact, that is exactly what we want to elicit from you through this hackathon. So apart from that, the resources that we cover, section that we will cover, and give you an overview of what all we have made available for you, so that you can kickstart and really start off your development work once we release the challenges, and you can start exploring these and playing with these. I would ask our team and make sure that yesterday's video and today's video are uploaded today itself. The links are made available to you today itself, so that you can start referring to it, and maybe over the weekend go through it and use your time in understanding. And while you are looking at the resources, these videos also will actually help you in guiding you and understanding things better. And once the hackathon details are shared more, and you know what are the submissions, etc., that should prepare you for the 14, 15, the 4 days marathon that we want to take on together. So I think with this, I will leave you in the capable hands of Vivek, Amod, Avijit, and my entire team who have made this available, made this possible. And one more thing before I stop, what I wanted to say that these applications that we are built are reference applications, and I mean, please keep in mind that these are in no way supposed to be competition applications. We have no intention of coming out and competing with these applications. Nevertheless, you will find them to be very appealing, very usable. The APKs also, we will be sharing the APKs also. So you would realize that we have done a fairly decent job, and you would have to put in some efforts to add on to what is done, or I'm sure, and you will definitely do that, and to add those new features or new functionalities to these applications. So once again, I welcome you, all of you, for today's session, and I really hope that this is going to be useful. And like yesterday, I would be available for the Q&A again, and we will take up the Q&As once you go through this various presentations that we've already laid out for you for today. Thank you, and over to you, Vivek.
Thank you so much, sir, for laying the ground for today's discussion. So without further ado, let's move on. Let's go to the next slide. I think next 2 slides. Yeah. So in this section, what we'll try to do very quickly over the next about 15, 20 odd minutes, just cover the functional architecture and the flows that we have designed. I think what Kiran sir mentioned earlier is extremely important, that the applications that we have built, and we'll be putting the APKs out for all of you to go through, to use the code of, to install and use as one of the endpoints against your own application. These are just reference applications. You can think of them as Beam was a reference application in the UPI construct, and you have other applications which came up later, such as Paytm. Banks build their own applications. Google Pay is one of them. So similarly, we are just trying to build something like a Beam, which is a bare bones functionality, which just demonstrates the capability of the UHI gateway and the UHI protocols. So moving on. So yesterday, we talked about quite a few components over here, right? I know this diagram might seem a little intimidating, but over here, what you have in the bottom half is the functionality and the flows that are required for you to participate in the UHI network, right? So yesterday we had talked about very briefly about an end user application and the health service provider application. And then we had dived deeply into what the UHI gateway is and how it functions. So in terms of providing you an overall picture of how all of it works together, we have put this diagram together. I'll just take 5 minutes to go through the flows over here, right? So the first things first, the blocks that you see in gray are ABDM building blocks. These are the blocks that are owned and operated by the government. And the government will be maintaining them in the long term, right? So what we have on the top, which are the ABDM building blocks that are already live, which is HICM, which is the Health Information Exchange and Consent Manager. The role of this particular block, as was mentioned yesterday as well, is to help exchange information between two endpoints and also record consent for the information that's being exchanged. We have next to it, the Health Facility Registry, which is the registry of all health facilities who have signed up to be a part of ABDM, and then Healthcare Professions Registry, which includes all the healthcare professionals who have signed up to be a part of ABDM, right? So in the way it works, I would like to go through these flows, and please do follow the numbering as I call them out, right? So the idea is that in an end user application, an end user might come and they will sign up. Now, whatever is indicated in green blocks when it comes to the numbering is something that is optional, right? It need not be implemented for you to be a part of the UHI ecosystem as was discussed yesterday. We have kept it optional for now, but these green things are what connected to the rest of the ABDM architecture, which is the Health Information Exchange, the HFR, HPR, Aadhaar, so on and so forth, right? So in the end user, if the end user application is ABDM milestone 1, 2, 3 compliant, when the end user comes in, they will be signing up or signing in, and they may use the Aadhaar, which is Ayushman Bharat Health account number to or address to log in and create their account on the end user application. Similarly, on the other end, you're on the health service provider end, the health service provider may choose to create a HPID, which is indicated in step 1B, and additional information that is entered, and we'll go through what this additional information needs to be to operate on UHI, is also captured and sent to HPR and the UHI gateway, some amount of this information, right? In terms of the actual flows that happen, and we'll go through this in detail, so I'll just quickly cover this. Essentially, a patient comes to the end user application, a user comes to the end user applications, and let's say searches for a doctor via the search API, which is indicated by number 2. That request hits the gateway, and then the gateway broadcasts it to all the HSPAs who are saying that they can provide that particular service, right? So let's say if the service over here is with respect to Tele Consultation, it'll be broadcasted to all the HSPAs which offer that service. So number 3 basically indicates the broadcast to HSPA 1 and HSPA 2. All the HSPAs then return the doctor details to the gateway via the OnSearch API, and the gateway then relays it back to the end user application, right? Now, the important thing, and this was covered yesterday, is that the gateway's role is only in search and booking, right? So once the search part is done, and essentially the end user chooses which doctor they want to consult, then it's directly a peer-to-peer conversation between the UA and the HSPA. The gateway plays no role over here, right? So then the EUA can communicate with the HSPA based to ask about the availability of the doctor. Can then the EUA can also EUA also initiates the booking process, and finally the payment terms and all are relayed back from the HSPA to the EUA, and then once the payment is done, the booking is completed, right? So this is an overall flow. I know it was a little bit rushed, but we will be going through this in much more detail as we go ahead, right? Next, please. So what we'll do right now is we'll just quickly run through the screens and the flows that we have built. Right after this, we'll have a demo by Amod, who will not only take you through the flow, but also talk about the different APIs that are being used, right? So we'll quickly run through this. Naresh, next slide, please. Right, so I think there is a little bit of mismatch in the slide numbering. 1 second. Yeah, can you just go to the next slide? We'll just come back to the slide later. I think there's been a change in slide numbers. Right.
No,
So,
in case Vivek, we will show in the demo also the login
no,
page.
it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. The rest of it is fine. I just
Yeah.
quickly checked. Yeah. Yeah. So just very quickly, right? So when the doctor comes into our application, they're asked to either log in or sign up. So let's say they're already signed up and they choose that they can choose that they're a doctor. So once they choose that they're a doctor, next screen, please. Yeah, so they can indicate what all services they can provide, right? So currently what we have enabled is a physical consultation and teleconsultation. Physical consultation is essentially, what you do on some of the applications out there in the market, which is basically book an appointment with a doctor and go physically visit them. Teleconsultation, as you all know, is to do a video conferencing call with the doctor wherein you can tell your details and they'll give you back a diagnosis, right? So over here, Dr. Sana Bhatt, who has already signed up, is indicating the different services that she would be willing to sign up for on the application. So over here, she's saying that she wants to sign up for a teleconsultation application. Soon after that, it just takes to the next screen wherein it shows about which are the preferred days and time and what's the start time to the end time of the slots that she would like to see patients via teleconsultation. Next step, please. Right. So over here, there's a screen that you had seen earlier was with respect to what is the payments and fees that they want to accept. So over here, let's say we are giving an option to the doctor to basically accept three kinds of fees. One is for the first consultation. The doctors usually tend to charge higher if they're seeing a patient for the first time because they will have to spend more time with the patient. Then there is which is repeat consultations. It's a they may want to indicate a different fee, and if they just want to, they're just looking at lab reports and all that, they're indicating a different fee. So we have given options for the doctors to indicate different fees. Because it is a teleconsultation over here that Dr. Sana Bhatt has chosen for the prescription, it is indicated. Um, um, Priyanka, I'm sorry, can you go back to 2 slides earlier? Yeah, before this, yeah. So this is the fee, right? This is what we talked about, wherein there's a first consultation fee, there's a follow-up fee, and there's a lab report consultation fee, right? What we also have over here is we are enabling payments only through a UPI ID, which is a direct transfer. Now, again, if your application is already integrated with a payment service, you can use that payment service for this. But because we want to keep it as light as possible, we have said that UPI ID, the doctor may receive their payments through UPI ID, and the doctor can indicate the UPI ID over here, right? Now let's go back to the digital signature slide, please. Right. So over here, basically, we are asking the doctor to upload a photo of their digital signature, and this will be the photo that they can use to sign off on their prescription so that their patients can get the necessary tests or the necessary medicines from the pharmacy. Right. Let's go next. So now after this is essentially the creation of the profile for the doctor. Once the profile has been created, essentially the doctor will be able to see two things. One is their account statement, which is how much money they have made, like this in terms of the different consultations, have they received the money or not? And the second one is with respect to the appointments, the upcoming appointments and the past appointments. Let's go to the next screen, which is the account statement. Right. So over here, as you can see, the doctor has seen two patients today, which is Arya Mahajan and Tarak Mehta. Both of them have come through the doctor through Practo. So on the EUA over here, essentially is Practo, and the HSPA is the National Health Authority's HSPA application, right? And we have also given the functionality wherein they can filter by date range and see, or filter by application, see how much payments have come in through which application in what date range. Let's go to the next slide, please. In the view appointment slide, again, very, very self-explanatory. It just shows what all consultations are coming up, what all consultations happened, so on and so forth. Over here, we have also given an option for the doctor to reschedule the appointment if they want. So if the doctor requests a reschedule, the request hits the end user application through which Arya Mahajan wanted an appointment. And if that is accepted, the appointment is rescheduled. Go to the next one, please. Right. There's also a cancellation wherein the doctor can cancel an appointment with the doctor. Again, this is a fairly basic feature that is being given on the HSPA side. And finally, after the consultation has been completed, there's a basic screen that has been built with respect to the symptoms and the prescription, the prescription that can be generated from the doctor. So over here, what we have is the doctor can enter the symptoms, the diagnosis, and the medicine along with the dosage, the duration, and how many times it has to be taken, right? So this will lead to an easy generation of a health record that can be shared to the patient. Next slide. Yeah. Okay, so over here is the waiting room. So let's say that now the waiting room concept is important. The waiting room allows the doctor to let the next patient in for their teleconsultation. So for example, over here, Dr. Sanabhat has basically said that she would see 3 patients, or she would see patients between 6 to 7 p.m. And there are patients who have come and are waiting in the waiting room. Dr. Sanabhat can let them in one by one and have a chat with them. Also, what if she so chooses, she can also chat with them via text and then do a teleconsultation with them or a phone call with them. So all of these options have been built as a part of the HSP application. Right. So this was the HSP application. Now, very quickly going through the end user application that we have made. So on the end user application, it's again, you can log in through Abha email or Abha number, right? Let's go next. Once you have logged in and made your profile, you can basically choose which appointment or which kind of service you're looking for. So over here, the person has said that they want to book a teleconsultation. They can search through either the doctor's name or the HPI address, the specialty, system medicine, city. If they want to go to a specific hospital or clinic, they can search for that. They can also search for the type of consultation service. So let's say if they want to just show their radiology records, they can just basically go there and click that. I just want to want a feedback on my lab reports. They can choose that and also filter based on their language preference, right? So all of these options are given. They can also indicate when they want this doctor and then essentially go and press on find doctor. Once they go press find doctor, over here, this particular person has searched for Dr. Sanam Bhatt. It shows the doctor from different applications or different doctors essentially named Sanam Bhatt coming up. What you also see over here, and this is important, is that in that doctor's card in the bottom, you might see one Practo and one eSanjeevani. This basically indicates that Dr. Sana Bhatt uh, is offering teleconsultation services not only through a Practo but also through eSanjeevani. And because these end applications might have different fees that they may levy on a doctor, the fees that that is shown over here is different. So on eSanjeevani OPD application, the doctor's fees is 900 rupees. On the Practo application, the doctor's fees is 500, right? So it is now the patient can choose very freely which application, which service they want to use for consulting with the doctor, right? So go to the next page, please. So over here, the person has chosen to use Practo, and essentially once they click on Practo for that particular day, all the time slots come up wherein the doctor is available. They can choose a time slot. They can press book now, and essentially it goes to a payment screen. Right. Next page, please. Right. So this is the payment. Once the payment is done, what you have is it shows a card is made wherein the doctor appointment and the date and time is available. Now the video chat and or audio call option will be available only once it's closer to the day and date, so day and time of the appointment. Once the doctor lets you into their chambers from the waiting room. But what we have enabled is that the doctor can start their so the patient can start chatting with the doctor already, and if the doctor so chooses, can reply back to the patient. Let's go to the next screen, please. Right. So now they can choose the upcoming appointments card. This is again back to the home page, wherein if they click on it, they will see all the appointments that are coming up And again, they can click on any of these specific cards, and then they have multiple options available. They can also reschedule or cancel the appointment with the doctor. Go next. So this is the rescheduling flow. In the rescheduling flow, what happens is that the patient chooses to reschedule. The patient might choose a separate date and a separate time, and the request then goes to the HSP application. If in the HSP application the time slot is available, it is automatically booked, right? There might be rescheduling fee that is there, and then that fee needs to be paid for this reschedule. Let's go next. Yeah, the next screen is on cancellation. The patient may choose to cancel the appointment with the doctor. On cancellation, there might be a cancellation fee that might be deducted, and the rest of the amount will be refunded back to the account from which the payment has been made. Yeah, next screen. Yeah, finally, it is about the last few screens are about how the teleconsultation actually happens. Over here, you have the chat screen that's there, that's available. If the appointment is starting, if you want to get into the appointment, you will be put into a waiting room. Waiting room over here basically just shows that the waiting room screen over here basically just shows that you're in a doctor's waiting room. And once you're let in, you can go ahead with the appointment and the teleconsultation. So these are the overall screens and the overall flows. I'm sure that there are that you guys have a lot of questions. In the next section, when we do a live demo and the exchange of and the API calls and everything, I think you'll know exactly what we are talking about. So without further ado, I will pass the baton to Amod to take this forward.
Hey, thanks, Vivek. So I see already a couple of questions. Like Vivek said, as we go through the demo, probably these will be more, there will be more clarity around these questions. Um, Let me. So I have my team with me. So they will be like demoing you these applications. But before we start the demo, just as Kiran sir mentioned in the beginning, that these applications are not for competition, but these are to help you discover the bare bones services. We will be releasing the code. You can use it for your references. You can tweak it. We are kind of giving you a jump start, creating these applications. Was in a most important point, these are not production grade at this level. And also, like, we are building more and more services around this. So this is like a living application right now, and the evolution is still in place. So just bear with us. If anything is missing, please let us know. We will add that, or if there are any defects, my QA team is working round the clock. Any issues, just let me know. So yes, Swanand, can you share the screen, please?
Yes, Amod.
So we will begin with the HSP app. We are doing this demo on an emulator right now because probably there are two applications which may use the video facility. So we are doing this on an emulator. It will be easier for me to show the emulator. Swanand, if you can also show the debug logs to the developers present here, so it will be great for them.
Yes,
So
let me
that
share it again then. Yeah.
yes, so that what kind of messages are being sent, what is the structure, all these things we can discuss. So yeah, in the
Yeah,
meantime, probably yeah, okay. So great, Swanand. You want me to run through, or you will run through,
yeah,
or
please,
is
you,
this
you can run through. Yeah, you can run through.
okay? Okay, great. So if you see, this is your first screen. Swanand, can you just close the app and restart so that they can see the
Uh,
splash screen and all
yes,
those?
please.
Oh, or it's like okay, fine. So We'll just restart the app so that you can see the splash screen. Then you get this first screen where this is probably there are two flows to it. One is when the doctor is already registered, and the other thing is when he's a new user. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention. So, in any healthcare application, I think, or we as a team think that we need clinical flows which are well defined by the prestigious organizations to be in place. So just to include those well established clinical flows in our application, we are using OpenMRS, which is an open source MRS or medical record system, or we can call it MIS or HMIS, whatever. So we are using it at the backend. It provides you REST API modules where you can, use it as a headless service, and you can plug in your UI or any kind of adapter to utilize their clinical flows. So we are using MRS. Okay, so here you see, like I saw a question that there were, if give delegated permissions to nurses and medical staff for entering some details. Yes, of course we can do that. This is very, as Vivek mentioned, this is a very bare bone application. These suggestions are very welcoming to us. We can pick them up and probably we can incorporate. As I said, this is a living application and it will evolve in coming days. So yeah, so currently we are only providing um, the doctor facility for a doctor to register. We will be soon moving on to therapist, psychologist, and others. And yes, that question may be clubbed with this one. So yes, Swanand, can you click on I am a doctor?
Yeah.
So here we are taking this is integrated with HPR right now. For the hackathon, let me make it clear that we will remove this registration. We want you to basically focus on developing your applications around UHI. Build your innovations around UHI, and we don't want to uh, you know. Uh, put these hurdles, not hurdles, I would say, put this login and all these things in between so that you can focus on the application itself. Important point which Vivek has shown in that diagram, where how the ABDM blocks or the ABDM ecosystem interacts with UHI or this HSPA. This is the classic example of it. So we have a doctor who is registered and verified by HPR, and we will be asking him to enter his HPR address, and that makes sure that we don't have any a doctor who is unverified and by the council, or there could be any other issues or security related issues. So great. So that is where we are doing it. So Anand, if you can just log in.
Okay. Let me log in with Ganesh account.
Okay, no issues. So yeah, so Ganesh is already registered. So Swadan, can you focus on that debug screen? So let me just explain a
Yes.
couple of things. So this is in all what we are doing is the HPR. The call is made to the HPR as well as the OpenMRS to check if Ganesh is registered, and if Ganesh is registered, we have his data stored, like the metadata, not all the details, the name, gender, and his profile photo stored in HSPA. Yes, eventually it should come from HPR itself, but for now, for the hackathon purposes and for simplicity of the application, we are pulling it. So the image is coming from the KYC he has done in HPR, and the other details like his experience and his qualification, age, all these things are coming in from the HPR. We also provide certain details. Right now, we are asking him the languages spoken and other stuff to be, um, you know, being entered by the doctor. So that is how it happens right now. Yeah. I will take the questions. I know it's kind of a yeah, sure. Ganesh, can you just zoom in a bit? I think it's very sorry, not Ganesh. Swanand, can you just
Okay,
zoom
yeah.
in a bit?
Into the code itself.
Yes, yes. No, no, the code. This, yeah, yeah. Probably that window will be small to Saurav. I think that the window would be small, and then you won't get the idea. So yeah, I will share the JSON messages also. So probably you can, take a look at that. Okay. Yes, you can go back to the application. So now if you see, currently we are implementing teleconsultation and physical consultation. The main difference between teleconsultation and physical consultation is obviously the video call feature. That is something that is a different. In physical consultation, the patient has to be, uh, you know, present in the physical consultation room. Yeah, so we will go for teleconsultation. If you can just click, Swaran.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, here you will see the account statement. We are under a process to build the account statement. So if you remember from earlier um videos, sorry, the slides what Vivek has already presented. There is account statement which tells the doctor about the payments he has received and all these things. So it is still in progress. We are onto it, and we will be building that feature soon. We will go to appointments right now. Yeah. So in the appointment section, whichever EUA has built an appointment, sorry, created an appointment or registered or booked an appointment with the doctor is being displayed here. So today if you see, Vishal is from my team, he's on the call, he has booked it from the EUA probably, and you can see the appointments here. Swanan, if you can show upcoming and previous
Yes.
appointments. So these are the upcoming appointments. Yeah, I also am a doctor. I mean, I wish, but yeah, here I can play the role of a doctor. So that is being added here. And the previous appointments, if there are any, if we can move to, yeah. So these are the completed appointments. So this is how the dashboard, I mean, the landing page to getting the appointments. This is how is the flow. Swadan, if we can create some appointments.
Yes, Amol. So let me go to our hamburger menu and the
Yeah, you can.
teleconsultation. Yes,
Correct, correct.
I
Edit
can create
availability.
the, yeah. So let me
So
create for just 2 days.
select the date range. Selected on 28 and 29. I think he already has an appointment on date 28, 29. Yeah.
Okay.
So here we are providing, currently we are restricting for 7 days in a flow because it is easier to manage. One feature which we are looking at to show a calendar kind of a view, we will be incorporating that. But for the minimal bare bone, again, what Vivek said, we are currently utilizing this kind of an flow. So if you can, for the start time and end time, usually the doctor will be available, say for 4 or 5 hours, or say like 8 hours per day. So this is something at what time he will be available. So you can select like 2 hours for now. Yeah, 2 3 hours. Yeah, that's fine, I think.
Let's create for four from 4 to 6.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, so 4 to 6 is the a daily time slot when this doctor is available. So that is what Swanand is selecting. We have an option to exclude weekends, where while creating the appointments, the weekends would be excluded, like we have on our alarm clocks. And currently we are, so there are two concepts which have been envisaged. One is the fixed time slot, that is each patient will be allotted a time slot 1 to 1. uh, so that is what we are doing. And the next thing, we will be coming up with a flexi time slot where we have the token system. So currently he has selected like 15 minutes of time slot. So like 2 hours, that is 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., that is 2 hours, would be divided into four time slots for each hour, with respect to this 15 minutes as a fixed duration slot. Yes, please. So in the meanwhile, the appointments are getting created from OpenMRS. I'll take that last question. The validate a real doctor or no is uh, something that the HPR does for us. Whatever doctors have been registered with HPR are verified by the council. So yesterday Kiran sir has mentioned this. So there is a National Medical Council, as well as there are many other medical councils, state medical councils, who verify the doctor, and then only the doctor is approved in HPR. Yeah, okay. Probably the network is slow. Yeah, okay. So appointment slots created successfully. This is a dev environment. There could be some issues, but yes, they are created successfully. So that is currently what we have for the HSPA side. The appointments, I'll show you from the EUA side that how the appointments are listed. That is more interesting. This is a kind of a reference application, so that everyone can get a feel of how the HSPA works. Thanks, Vanan. Akshay or Vishal, anyone who can
Yeah, I will do.
open up the EUA.
Yeah, sure.
In the meanwhile, Vivek, if you want, you can take the questions, so that we don't waste time. Yeah, I think it's up. Okay. Anyways, fine. So we will come to the questions. Um, this is the EUA side of the application, end user application. So this has been linked with ABHA, Ayushman Bharat Digital, Ayushman Bharat account. There is an so currently we validate the Ayushman Bharat or the ABHA address using a phone number. Yes, please go ahead. So again, this is the interaction with the ABDM ecosystem. So on the HSPA side, it's HPR. On the EOA side, it's ABHA, and eventually what Vivek was showing, that the HICM, where the longitudinal medical records could also be shared, that would eventually integrate with the EUA application. Yeah, so this is on the dev environment. Again, I'm repeating because I want you guys to see what messages are going. And yeah, probably the OTP failed. We have got a new OTP. Yeah, okay.
No,
It
it's
did
actually
work.
just a
Okay. Okay.
build time is
Yeah,
down.
yeah. So it's on the demo. That's why it's okay. Fair enough. Okay, cool. So if you see here, we have teleconsultation, physical consultation, ambulance, lab test, and blood group. Again, in this version of the application, we are catering to teleconsultation and physical consultation, ambulance booking, lab test booking, and blood bank booking will eventually um, follow. So if you see the landing page, here are the upcoming appointments. Can you just scroll down? Then we have some appointment history. So probably no appointment, none of his appointment is completed. So yeah, so we can go ahead. We will select teleconsultation for booking. So this is where we search for the doctor. So we either have the HPID or the HPR ID we call, or search by the doctor's name or specialty, languages. The location is automatically picked right now from the mobile location, and the date initially which I am looking for the appointment. So I think we have Ganesh or me, anyone you can select. You can select me or Ganesh, anyone. Yeah, you can remove those breakpoints probably. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, cool. So if you see, yeah, can you go to the background, Akshay? We want to show them the
Yes.
JSON messages. Huh. So
Yeah,
if
yes,
you see,
please.
whatever, can you just copy that and paste it somewhere so we can show them what message was sent? Yeah. So if you see the message, like was Ravi was explaining yesterday, we have the context and the message. There are certain values which has formed, been validated in the context and being sent. The important fields from context is the message ID and transaction ID through which you can track a particular end-to-end booking. So that is something important you should keep in mind. So again, yesterday's intent and catalog. So we are trying to search for some of the services, and hence the intent block has been included into the message block. Then we'll have the fulfillment. So fulfillment is like what the services are going to be achieved. And then we have the that start time and end time, what for which we are looking for, and the type is teleconsultation, that is the fulfillment type. Yes, Akshay, please go back. So Akshay, just continue, show them the next booking. I'll just connect my charger in them.
I guess on 20th we have appointments. Yeah, here. So on the HSPA side, we have created appointments from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. So we have divided into the 4 per hour. So you can see 8
Yes,
appointments are
yes.
here.
Yes,
So
so we created these appointments from the HSP app like 4 to 6, and like I said, there are 8 total appointment slots available on 20th of July, which are divided into 15 minutes. Yeah, Akshay, please select one of them.
yeah.
So yes, selected the first lot, and we are gonna going to booking. So this is where you will get all the details of the booking app, the total payable things. So all these details, if you remember, Vivek showing the slide where he has entered the, first appointment fees, the follow up, and all these things. So all these values would be present there, and this is something which is coming from the HSPA side. Yes, you can hit pay now. So on Pay Now, we have integrated the UPI, but it is deep linking right now. So he's on emulator. So whenever you guys get the APKs, you can try that out. We have the um, deep linking for the UPI apps there. Probably my or Swanand's UPI ID is there. You are open to pay that. But right now we have disabled that, and we will just go to 300. Yeah, so this appointment is confirmed, and this has been booked, and we can see that the name of the doctor and other things. Probably Ganesh, sorry, Swanand, can we have a
Yes,
dual
yeah.
share mode here?
Dual share mode. Let me try.
Yeah,
No,
just share your
probably.
screen. Share your screen. Probably try sharing. Don't stop your screen, Akshay.
Ah, no, no, it's not giving me.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
actually, it's not allowing other.
Yeah.
Oh, other ways. Okay, fair enough. So we can go back and show. So if you can show the messages which were sent, Akshay, to them, and then we'll move to teleconsultation. So if you want to explain the
So
message type
first
and
call
what we are
we
sending.
got. Okay. So first message was search. So response in that on search we got the response as a doctor's profile. So let me show you this one.
So again, the async API pairs search and on search. So when the search was hit, the HSPA did its magic. It got the list of the doctors it sent back on the on search. Just a reminder, so there are two searches here. First search goes through the gateway. The first search goes through the gateway, and then the HSPAs are broadcasted with the intent. The HSPAs will reply with their available services. The gateway will pull it and we'll be sending it to the EUA. From a technical perspective, at the EUA end, we have implemented a queue because imagine this like you're booking a flight, right? There are various airline providers, and you use an aggregator app somewhere, and you are trying like Make My Trip or something, and you're trying to search for an flight. So what happens is that whatever results are coming in first are displayed, and then they are rearranged according to the price. So we are working on a similar fashion. There are different service providers. They are be sending, and then they will be aggregating it in the queue, and then there would be a long polling kind of a thing. Yeah. So if you see, this is the on search message we are using. So this, I'll just explain this quickly. So the catalog is nothing but the list of services which we have received from one of the HSPA. Currently, we have only one HSPA, and then there is a fulfillment type like teleconsultation. And then the agent is nothing but a service provider. So we are getting the name of this with an Abha ID. Image, we have disabled it for now, but it comes in the base 64 string. Again, we have disabled it now for your ease, so that you can try out new things. These tags are nothing but the additional information which you want to send to the EUA. So currently we are sending the education experience, the follow-up fees, the specialty, and all these things. Again, there are schemas in the protocol which you can use to leverage. But currently, if you follow this schema, it will be easier for you to implement, and then we can innovate on top of it. Yes, please go on, Akshay.
Yeah. So this is on search. After that, searching.
Yeah, the you
Yeah.
can show
After
the.
that, init request is on.
Now this is the second search, right, Akshay?
No, it's a init one. Second search is already on.
Okay. Oh, second search system. Okay. So this is the init one, where currently what we are doing is currently a patient is being registered on the init service. Where if the patient is already registered with that this current particular HSPA, we just pull the existing patient, and then we check with the appointment slot is available, and on that basis we are booking it. Okay. So that is something. That is something how we go. You can just show the message, just scroll down.
Yeah. So it's on it now.
Yeah, sorry, Akshay. Yeah, okay. So this is the on init. That is the response from the HSP. That response is then received by EUA, and then all these things are fall into line where we have the confirmation once the status is set as paid. If you can highlight
Hello,
that paid
Amar.
status there on. Yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah, okay. Vivek, are we audible?
Okay, so should we go for the teleconsult?
Yeah, Moti, you are audible.
Okay, okay, great. Yes. So now we will show you. Do you want to, Akshay, do you want to show them the chat first and then the video call? How you want to go about it?
First, we'll go for video call.
Okay. So this is where we are using the WebRTC. So probably Swanand, you will get, if you are
Yes, yeah.
there, you will get this call. Yeah.
Yeah. So when user
So
for now, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, let me initiate the waiting room. So yeah,
So I'm in the waiting room now.
yes. So let me take you in.
Yeah,
yeah,
here I'm
probably.
getting incoming call from the doctors. Should I accept it?
So probably due to emulator, you may not see the video, but you get the application, then you can see the video because the camera is accessed from um, the laptop's resource. So probably it has been already hijacked by a Zoom call.
So here
So
we
yeah,
will get.
I mean, probably we don't have any person who is physically sitting there, so we will not be able to do that. Yeah, fine. You can disconnect it. Uh,
When you disconnect this message.
yes. So you'll get this message whether the consultation was completed. When you hit yes, the consultation would be marked as completed, and it will go in your history. Yeah. If you want to show the chat feature also.
Yeah, here you
Yeah.
can see here chat is here.
Yeah. If you want to type something like any message.
Yeah, I've sent it one hat from here. So
Yeah, correct. So, Swanan, if you can type the current time and so that people are aware that what message is going.
Yeah. Hit 47.
Yeah.
I received the message.
So this is the chat feature. We are building more on top of it. So the next feature would be probably sharing the prescription. So yeah, I think we are done with the demo of EUA HSPA. Um, yeah, we can move on and probably go through the slides. Thank you guys. Thank you for your demo.
Yeah. Thank you.
I would just want to add one point over here.
Sure,
So
sure.
currently, our what we have developed for EU and HSPA. So currently, we are using the Flutter as our tech
Yes,
stack.
sorry. Yes, correct.
Yeah.
So I missed that. So just like yesterday, I mentioned for the gateway we are using Spring Cloud Gateway and Spring Boot for the microservices. Similarly, here for the microservices, when I come to the architecture, probably you'll understand more. So here we are using Spring Boot again for the microservices, and then we are using Flutter as a hybrid development platform so that we can release good applications for iOS as well as the Android platforms. Yeah, Swanan, you want to add anything?
No, Lemot, yes, yes.
Farooq sir, you want to add anything on this?
Yeah. Also on the GetX library. So Swanan, if you can open the pubspec.yaml file
Yes,
and show them like what are the packages we have used, right from the reactive GetX as well as if any.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Akshay, can
okay.
you share your screen? Yeah.
Priyanka, let's do one thing. Let's do a quick code, walkthrough before we move to the slides. Probably let's do it that way because we have given the demo.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can
Here
zoom if you can zoom in a bit, Akshay,
is it okay
and
now?
probably.
Okay, so in the PubSpec is simply a library we used in the applications. So basically for a network calls means API calling, we are using HTTP package. And for the main concept in the Flutter application is state management system. For state management, we are using Git application, Git concept. So it's recently come into the updated version of the state management. So we are using Git one. So other dependencies are used for the other so like Google Fonts is in for the fonts and all these things in the application. Connectivities for the internet connectivity like this. GP is for the date picker management, all and playing with the dates and all these
Yes,
things. UDID.
yes.
So like this, we are using this some libraries for the
And
application.
on top of this, if you can just mention which other libraries we are using, just a overview, like the WebRTC library we are using for the video call purposes. Then we are using a chat library to get that chat UI, right?
Yes, Flutter Chat UI is there for
Yeah.
the
So these
chat.
are all open
Flutter
source
web
libraries. These are all open source libraries. You do not need license to use them. We believe in open source and open public goods, as Kiran sir mentioned earlier, and the overall NHA leadership envisages these as the open source and public goods. So anyone can take advantage of them and build a good and strong ecosystem around this.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Deepak, would you want to show the gateway code? Like just walk through the gateway code. Deepak?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So Deepak, Ganesh, Akshay, we all work and we will be here to support you throughout the hackathon. Swanand is there. All of my team is here. Any challenges, we will try our best to get this solved.
Okay, so from gateway perspective, I would like to show you the Swagger documentation, what we have the API set of for your gateway perspective and EUA perspective. So we have three components which basically defined in the UHI. So there are a couple of sets of APIs for HSPA and there are a couple of sets for EUA, and then we have a UHI gateway.
Deepak,
So,
you're not sharing. If you are sharing,
oh, I'm sorry. I hope it's visible now.
Just it.
Okay. So the three components for the UHI is like HSPA's side set of APIs and UHI side of set of APIs, and then EUA. So those who wants to integrate the HSPA side, they needs to implement these set of APIs. So we have selection of the booking, initialization of the booking for init and confirmation for the booking as confirmed. And later on the status for any booking and anything. So we have status API. So these four set of APIs are on the HSPA side. Then we have UHI gateway. So as discussed, like UHI gateway only responsible for the search. So only search and on search is the two APIs which will be on the UHI gateway side. So UHI gateway basically implements the two APIs only. So on the EUA side, whoever implementing the EUA, so they need to implement and expose this on confirm, on init, on select, and on status. So basically the flow works like first gateway search, anybody EUA will hit and expose it on select, on search. Then the response coming from HSPA to gateway and then to the EUA. So apart from search and on search, those are one to peer between HSPA and EUA applications. That's why you don't see search and on search in the HSPA side as well as in EUA side. It's only on the gateway side. So from the security perspective, like we are validating the authorization header. So it's basically nothing but encryption of the payload, whatever the payload you gonna send in the request. So it's being encrypted via this algorithm, and this will validate from the gateway side. So once this validated gateway is allowed to send the discovery to all the HSPs. Moving towards the code side. So for the gateway, we are using Spring Boot microservices and Webflux for the non-blocking calls. And basically it's a multi-module project where common is nothing but it's a schema defined. So in the end, you will find the schemas. The schema is nothing but whatever the request is being described here. So what field is for what. So this is the schema. Which field is mandatory and which is not mandatory. So all the schemas.
yeah, that is fine. I think Deepak,
Yeah.
we will be sharing this documentation with them. Just
Yeah.
show them the discovery service. So
So this,
uh, just explain them the common first, so that when we release, they probably can have a good kickstart understanding the protocol itself.
so common is describing the schema. So these many classes for the request uh, has been detailing to here.
Yeah, so you can directly utilize this common in Java. It is called a pure Java object. So it is the Pojo which you can use, where you can just get the JSON from the request and transform it into this object, and then further, you can work on the object to, understand the incoming messages. ठीक है. Yeah, go down.
So after this, we have a separate module here for discovery. So discovery basically, so before discovery, we have a Spring Boot Cloud gateway, which is there to route the request of search and on search on the discovery. So it's just for a routing purpose, handling the rate limiter, fallbacks, and all that stuff in the gateway. Then the request lands on the discovery area to broadcast the list to the registered HSPS. So here we are using a web flux, that is non-blocking calls. So whenever the search landed here, it's got broadcasted via the lookup API, which is to get the list from the network registry. Network registry is nothing but all the participants which are from the both side, EUA as well as HSPA side, has been registered in the database. So via looking from the DB, it broadcasts the request to all the HSPS.
Yeah, I think one point we missed, Deepak, probably we need to add it, that search on search also will be on the EU and HSPA side, because the second search will go through it. Probably when we explain the HSPA code, probably we can show them. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I think we will continue in the interest of time. This all code would be released on GitHub, the GitHub UHI page which I have shared yesterday. I'll share it again. We are just cleaning it up a bit, and there were some minor issues which we have fixed for you guys to look at it, utilize it. Currently there is one code, but it is the first version we have released like some time back. After that, there are a lot of changes, and we will upload the code same. So by Monday, I think you will get all the required documents to do your homework before you come in and join the hackathon. Yeah, so this is the gateway side. Deepak, can you just open this HSP adapter also, so I can just walk them through?
Sure.
Thanks.
Is it visible?
Yes, yes. Um, Swagger is fine. I'll just explain the code because the messages we have only already shared. So only additional is message and on-message. So we will come to that. This is where the chat flows. So if you can go to the GitLab, till then I'll just explain the chat implementation what we have done. So currently, just like the protocol, we are following the API. Now, why we are following the API approach when we have like WebSockets or creating a centralized server where anyone can join in. So the main objective or the vision of NHA, the leadership, and of course, which we also share, all the stakeholders share, is interoperability, because all the concept is based on the basic concept of open network, where anyone has a fair amount of a chance to provide their services. So interoperability becomes the crux or the heart of all this ecosystem. So while developing the chat system, we thought about it a lot, and then we came to an conclusion where we could use these APIs itself, because anyone can call this API if the endpoint is known, right? Yes, there are things like having yourself registered on network registry, but that is like a minimal kind of requirement where you can come and register, and then you can anyone from any platform, be it Pacto, be it 1mg, be it with the government HSPA, or these reference applications, or any other person, any end user application, what they have to do is they have to just call this API endpoint and send their message, and the rest of the things would be handled by the logic. Of course, you'll have to implement some logic to understand the message and push it forward. In the current implementation, when you get the code, we have implemented WebSocket between the mobile client and the hosted EUA. So whenever that API receives a message, there are two calls made. One is to the mobile client, or the WebSocket, where we have the duplay connection, and that WebSocket will push it to the screen. And the other call is made to a database like Redis, or any kind of a database, for matter of fact, to have that persistent layer, so that you can retrieve the history, chat history, whenever possible. So coming to the HSPA adapter, as I mentioned earlier, why we are calling this the HSPA adapter. Anyone can use this code. If you have an existing HMIS, like we are using OpenMRS, as I mentioned in the backend, what you need to do, you can use this adapter instead of OpenMRS APIs. I have created the wrapper. You can just put in your own APIs. If you want, you can create your own database and have a microservice which does the CRUD operations or the logical operations to that particular database, and just plug those APIs with this adapter, and you will have a kickstart to understand the DHP protocol, and you can use it right away. Like 50% of code is done, 50% is customization, what you can do, and use it as is. So again, if you see the folder, there is common. So common is nothing but what we are kind of that is the common structure, or the pojos for the protocol, and all the schemas which are mentioned have been incorporated there. And you can just use any library, like probably Jackson for Java people, um, and just convert that into this object. um, yeah, if you can go to HSPA, uh, source main, source main. Yeah. Um, so here you can go to the services. We can just show. So okay, first go to the controller. I just want to show them the endpoints we have exposed, or the APIs we have exposed. Yeah. So this is the search on search, which I was mentioning earlier. So EUA also has a search, and on search. So you can see search here because I am going to receive a request on search always. This is the first search is where you will have to pass a header called as gateway authorization, which Deepak was talking about, where you have an encrypted value, and then the public key, private key is registered, and then we try to check whether the incoming call is legit or not. Probably for hackathon purposes, we have created a switch where you can turn it off. Probably I can give you a tool where you can just send in the messages and check whether your encryption decryption is working fine. But if you ask me from a developer perspective, it creates a bit of it drags me back when I'm in full speed trying to implement something, and my ideas are rushing, and we are trying to build something. So this is the search call. Depending on the gateway header, I route it to either to the search service or the select service. This select service is nothing but DHP and Beacon have a concept of select when they are into the other part of the world. So this select service is nothing but my second search. So that's why you see the select service. That is where I'm selecting the appointment block. but that is coming through the search itself. So the API is search. Can you go down? So this select service, it is just yeah, I mean, um, container. I mean, it is just a implementation. So I've just kept it so that you can explore tomorrow what you can do with the select when you get that select API in you. Going down, yeah, this is the init where we create the patient on the initialization, and then we send kind of a confirmation that the patient is created. And then on the payment, can you go down, Deepak? On the payment, I'll get a message on the confirm API where I will then actually create an appointment using the OpenMRS. This is the status API, which gives me the current status of that appointment based on the order ID. So there are some mechanism on OpenMRS where when the doctor actually starts a teleconsultation, he can set a status like waiting, consultation started, and consultation ended. In case of cancellation, which Vivek has already mentioned, so that status will be changed to cancel whenever um, EUA tries to find the details of those appointments. He will get the latest status to this API. Yeah, go down. And then we have the message and the on message API chat. You will get this code. This is currently in our private repository. I will be exposing this to the GitHub, so don't worry. Yeah, I think that is on the HSPA side. Vivek, how much time do we have more? Vivek? Yeah, okay. Um, I think that is there. I think we can go to the slides. If the time permits later on, then I'll walk you through the other code. I think that should be okay. Priyanka, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
So we should we move on to the slides because I think I have already taken much time than what I was thinking on.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, yes, Priyanka.
This slide we'll start with.
Yes, please. So I am going into the architecture, current architecture, how we have envisaged it. Um, mm, so basically, if you see on the left hand side, we have the touch points. That is, someone was saying that HSPA should go on a web application. Yes, absolutely. I also agree with you. But we wanted to give that mobile experience. So tomorrow, if it could be a tablet that a doctor is carrying, so this Flutter will help, to port that application to the tablets also. I mean, it's again a mobile device, so that is also possible. You can use Flutter. We are using Flutter. There is no compulsion of using Flutter. We are using Flutter because it is highly adaptable to different devices. You can read about it. You can use native React Native. You can use Android native. You can use iOS native. It's up to you. So you are like the universe is the limit. Yeah. So coming back to the architecture, left hand side you can see the touch points. That is your desktop application. It could be a mobile application, but as we are moving to the mobile revolution, or we are already into the mobile revolution, we thought that we would go with the mobile applications first, because if not, every and each person in India today probably has a smartphone, and that is why we went to the mobile application first. So here, like I said earlier, whenever I receive, so there are two services which we have implemented. One is the message queue and one is the EUA service. So these two services handle the incoming messages from the gateway or the HSPA. On the right hand side, if you see the queue cloud, so when I hit a search from the gateway, the on search is being be expected on this service. So the list of patient doctors, what you saw on the EUA side, would be coming in this message. The responder is something which is catching the response from the HSPA, and the requester is something which is trying to send or request the services from the HSPA or the gateway. So then we have an exchange. I have just kind of broken this architecture diagram to just simplify and answer the flow. There is only one message queue right now, probably with two channels, the incoming and outgoing. But just to make it more simplified, I have created this. Then we have a gateway service in between, which is also service orchestrator, service discovery, which works also as a service discovery. We are using Eureka in case of the Java world. Again, the technology here is Java, Spring Boot, and Webflux wherever needed. So we are using web client, non-blocking calls. The booking service is nothing but whenever the confirmation of a appointment comes in, the booking service takes the details and pushes it into the persistent layer, that is the database, where we have all the tracking of the statuses of bookings, the details of the bookings. So in case you want to reschedule, you want to cancel, you want to rebook the same doctor. So all these things happen from the booking service. User management we have because as mentioned, we have integrated it with Abha APIs or the PHR APIs. These details are stored. I mean, again, we are storing the very minimalistic details, what is required. Probably it is more of Abha address, and the tokens which we require to authenticate the application on Abha. The registry service is a wrapper service around the building blocks of ABDM, that is Abha, HPR, and HFR. You probably will not see this in the hackathon build because we are trying to keep it optional, as Vivek said. So if anyone wants to try it out, we will help on that. Yeah, next slide, please. So again, if you the reference HSP architecture, so as I mentioned, we are using OpenMRS as a backend. It is a full-fledged medical record system, which provides you also the REST module, REST API module, which you can, and therefore you can use it as a headless, you know, a kind of a system, MRS system, medical record system. So the HSPA application, sorry, I missed the word mobile and the touch point. The HSPA block is nothing but your client application. It could be a web application. Currently, we have the mobile application. We are directly calling the OpenMRS APIs for creating appointments, storing some of the metadata of the doctors, and handling the appointment stuff. So that is what we are doing right now. Then I have a HSPA adapter, the code which I showed. So this adapter is nothing but a layer which handles the protocol and translates it to the OpenMRS, or pulls the data from OpenMRS or translates it to the protocol. So the services which I mentioned, the search service, the init service, the confirm service. So if you see on the left hand side, you see the calls. The first call is coming from gateway, then the EUA sends a second search on search, which is handled by the HSP adapter, then init, on init, confirm, and on confirm. So this is the simplest architecture I could come up with because OpenMRS has helped us a lot. Also, the protocol helps us a lot. So I have just created a layer which anyone can pick up, and like as I said, after 40 to 50% of customization, you are up and you can start listening to UHI calls or EU and HSP. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, coming to the most important thing. Yes, so like if most of you have attended the yesterday's session where Praveen sir mentioned, that teleconsultation is the most effective piece of this puzzle which we have targeted, because but people sitting in villages, they probably do not get the proper medical aid whenever required. Probably they have to travel to the center town and try to get medical help on demand. So this teleconsultation part is going to be a very big tool to reduce this kind of delayed medical aid, or probably it could be as a boon to these people who don't have immediate medical aid. So that's why the NHA leadership had envisaged that we will first target the teleconsultation, that too on the open source basis, and that too on the interoperable. So this is just a um, WebRTC overview. You can just read through it. I'm not going through it. I would like to explain it more, that why we selected WebRTC. That is the last line. If you see the attributes of WebRTC, which fit NHA vision, open source, interoperable, and well maintained. So someone asked here that how does WebRTC is interoperable? So I would say that it is a perspective that we follow. And so in any case, like if I am speaking Hindi and someone is speaking Telugu, and some third person is speaking Marathi, then there is a problem of communication. So how do this problem of communication is solved is by using, talking to each other with probably a common language which each one understands. That could be any language. So let's say for English. So to be interoperable, you have to come on the same grounds before you interact with each other. Same things goes with this software, where we have the UHI protocol, which consists of this DHP plus network layer protocol, where everyone can adapt to this protocol or learn this new language, and they can implement it. It's open source. There is no barrier to learn this protocol and uh, move on. So that is first thing which makes it interoperable. That is the UHI protocol. Second thing, why WebRTC? Because WebRTC today, if you know, I hope I am sure that most of you know about it. So WebRTC today is nothing. I mean, is implemented in each device, in your web browsers, in your mobile devices, whatever device which connects to an internet and has a browser. WebRTC is there. And there are certain common methods which are being implemented, like sir mentioned that Google or Zoom use WebRTC. By the way, it was developed by Google. So WebRTC on the base layer. So what happens currently when we are trying to talk through Zoom? So they have their centralized server where you have to log in, you have to buy, and then two participants will connect, and that central server will be handle something. Now, if you see on the other part, like why we are introducing WebRTC as interoperable. See, the APIs are known to everyone. First thing, when you read about WebRTC, there are two important steps which they go through. One is to establish a connection between the two participants. You have to send a offer. So, for example, participant A wants to connect with participant 2. So the first an offer is sent to the participant too. That offer is nothing but a piece of text which describes your IP addresses, the video protocol you support, your machine supports, or that device supports, then how to reach to you. All these things are there. You can check for SDP, where you will understand this. So once you see that, that offer has to be sent to person 2, participant 2. WebRTC does not tell you that how you can send it. You can send it over SMS, you can send it over WhatsApp, you can send it over um, any of the medium where that particular message reaches to the other participant. Now, there is another API which consumes this offer, and then that offer is translated into an answer. Now, this answer is nothing but a way to say that yes, I want to connect with you for your offer, and these are the details how you can connect to me. For example, the answer will have all the details of the second participant who has willingly said yes to connect to the participant one. So this is how it works. Typically, the typical implementation, we have also as the base implementation done the same thing. There is a signaling server. Signaling server is nothing but probably a web socket or any kind of a messaging server which can pass on these messages to the available participants. So currently in our current implementation, we have a signaling server which is open, which listens to the people, listens to devices connected with WebSocket, and this answer and offer is then transferred to each other using this signaling server. So we are going to host that. You can utilize it, read about WebRTC on there are WebRTC links provided by Google, where there are examples, live examples which they are providing. Again, how to connect to this signaling server, we will provide you all the details. You can use this signaling server to test out your WebRTC. Tomorrow, when this network grows, so each of the giant may have, or each of the participant may have its own WebRTC signaling server. The For example, Practo may have his own WebRTC signaling server, but it should be open. And then say one MG can come and connect to that signaling server, saying that that doctor from the signaling server has asked me to connect. These messages are passed on, and one MG is connected to Practo using this signaling server. Or there later, I envisage that this messaging, what we are doing right now with the API, can also have this chat, I mean this SDP included in them, and it would be much easier to identify each other. So yes, we are moving towards that direction, and this is how we are going to approach the interoperability. Currently, it is because we have opened the world for you to connect with each other through this signaling server. Yes, Priyanka, next slide, please. So this is what I was talking about. So basically a browser user. So in the Flutter code walkthrough, you saw that we are using a Flutter plugin for WebRTC. It has those same APIs. This is the get user media API, which is nothing but which gets the video and audio stream of the devices you are running on. Then you have the RTC peer connection. This is the actual API which creates a connection using the answer and offer between two participants. And then there is this RTC data channel. So WebRTC provides you two types of connectivities. One is with the audio video, and one is the data channel, where you can actually send text, data, or anything across. So there is one more two concepts which I will just introduce here. Probably you guys can read more about it, and when we interact we can discuss more about it, but in interest of time I'm just trying to add them. One is the turn server, and one is the stun server, STUN and TURN. So sometimes the participants may be behind firewall, and you cannot establish a direct connection between first participant and the second participant. So there are stun and turn servers which are available in open source, or free to be used. Google has its own stun server, and in here we are using an open relay turn server, which is again free to use, or open source. It just helps you establish another route to connect with the two participants. So if you can read about it, because it's a very a detailed concept, and I think it would be out of the scope in this particular session. Of course, when you come for the hackathon, we can have a more detailed sessions on it. I can help you out with this. But in the meanwhile, probably you can do the homework of reading about WebRTC, its major components, and how the connection is established. Yes, Priyanka, next. So current implementation is how this is working. So like I said, we have created a signaling server. We have used Go. So what happens right now from the teleconsultation and the doctor and patient consultation perspective, what we are doing is at the lowest level, we are creating a room for each doctor when he joins a consultation. So this room will be identified by one of the identifier. Currently, we are using the HPR address to identify that room. Then what we do is whenever, so you if you remember the two screens where you have the waiting room and the other side is the doctor's waiting room. So when the patient comes to a waiting room, he will send a signal he will be connecting to the signaling server. When the doctor joins in, he will be connecting to the signaling server. Now this signaling server tells them each other that someone is there in the room. That room is created. On the technology front, we are using web sockets, so these are duple, and whenever you join this room, a message is sent to both of them, that we are there in the room. Once that message is sent, the doctor can see that this participant one or patient one is there sitting in my room. Now when you click on that patient, so by the way, on the EUS side or the patient side, we do not allow right now for patient to call the doctor for some reasons which we have thought about, but that could be one of the option. This is the way we chose to move ahead. Only the doctor can call the patient. It may happen that the doctor is consulting someone else, and it may extend that 5 to 6 minutes. So we have given the control to the doctor, so he can initiate the call only. The chat can be initiated by the patient or the doctor in any which ways. So that communication does happen, but the video call will only happen from the doctor's screen. So when the doctor sees that the patient is there, so he will click on call button for the patient. That message would be sent to the signaling server. The signaling server, so that is nothing but your offer component. That offer is then sent to the participant one, because he is already connected to the doctor's room, and whoever has been connected to the doctor's room can receive this using their ABHA ID. So internally, the identifier or the primary key for identifying the two participants is nothing but your ABHA key, ABHA and HPR address. So once the participant one receives the offer, he can invoke the WebRTC API, create an answer, and send back to the doctor. And that is where you see that accept call screen, and the WebRTC connection is established between two, and the signaling server is no longer needed. The signaling server is only needed up till establishing the WebRTC connection between the two peers. Next slide, please.
Amod, is there anything else you want to cover? I think that's pretty much it that we had
Yes,
planned.
yeah, I mean, I just got carried away, and there are a lot of things I want to discuss with these guys, because I'm very eager to see their innovation and creativity. But probably we can connect when we actually start the hackathon, and we can have more sessions where I can explain this in detail. This was just to
Absolutely.
create that interest for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one thing that is a takeaway that at least I have is that probably there would be folks over here who would be interested to know about how implementations such as this implementation of WebRTC happens. So we can probably take a separate smaller class for them and walk them through these implementations in a little bit more detail, and have that for those folks who have signed up for the hackathon, probably a day before the hackathon, even during the hackathon, when we can when these folks can spare some time.
Absolutely, Vivek.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Amol. I think it was, I mean, a lot of the ground covered, and I'm sure that folks will be eagerly waiting for the videos to be uploaded, and they'll be going and watching multiple parts of these again and again to understand things a little bit better. In the paucity of time, because we want to get very quickly to the question answers, I see a lot of questions over there. Let me just quickly take you guys through the resources which are available in the next steps. So next slide, please. Yeah. So far, right, in terms of from a UHI perspective and from a National Health Authority and EBDM perspective, we have built these four things, right? So you have the reference applications, the reference EUA and HSPA applications. Hopefully, we'll have the APKs published by 12th. And again, because all of you guys have registered, we'll be sending you mails with the resources and a starter kit to get started on UHI in terms of what all is where and how do you access it, so on and so forth. So you'll have the reference application APK is also out for you to explore. The UHI protocols, as we discussed, already exist. There is a GitHub page, and you guys can go and visit that GitHub page. UHI Gateway is one of the building blocks that's already built and that's already live. Once you go and signed up on the UHI sandbox, which is nothing but the Abdm sandbox itself, you will get access to the sandbox version of UHI Gateway, and you can start experimenting with the UHI Gateway and start building apps for UHI. Next slide, please. So this is a quick snapshot of all the different resources that are out there already. Again, as I said, we will be adding to this resource list and probably have a cheat sheet out as Ravi has suggested, so that you can get a guided view of where to get started and what to look at. For now, when we put this presentation out, these links will be available. I mean, you can click on any of these links. I think perhaps one of the most important links over here is the UHI EUA documentation. Priyanka, if you can just click on that link once. Not the GitHub, the EUA documentation bit. UHI EUA documentation.
Is my screen visible, or should I just do a screen share? I think.
Please do a screen share. I think if it's redirecting you to a web browser, it's not visible.
Yes. Let me do it again.
Yeah. So folks, what we have done is on the Sandbox documentation website, we have tried to lay out as clearly as possible what does it take to build for UHI, right? So if on the left-hand side, if you can go to building UHI apps, yes. So here, this entire section will be covering, some of the things that we have already covered and in these master classes, which is what is UHI, what is DHP, what are the services, what's a gateway, what's a EUA, what's HSPA, so on and so forth, right? And if you can go, let's say, into the building UHI EUA app, Priyanka, on the left-hand side, down, building UHI EUA app. Yes. So over here, what you see is that, you have these different flows. And again, if you click on Tele Consultations, right. So within Tele Consultations, again, you have these different pieces. Again, if you can click on search HSPA for doctor. Right. So over here, it clearly lays out, what you can search with. If you can come down a little bit, it has a UI reference screen, the same screens that you saw in the call today. It has that reference screen. And if you come down further, you will have a flow diagram of the API sequence diagram in terms of how it works. Go down further, example JSONs will be available over here as well, right? So I think this is a good piece of documentation in place. Please do go ahead and refer to this. We will be again, adding more examples all around and making this documentation more robust by putting in more examples throughout. So please do have a look at this documentation, right?
Yeah,
If you can switch back,
just to add to that, and we will be interacting more with you, like what Vivek is saying, and we will try all the possible ways to help you, succeed in this hackathon.
absolutely, Amar. I mean, in Abdm, so far we've been live for 2 years, and we have dev forums through which we can interact. I think with the UHI rolling out and with all these applications over here, I think the support will only go up. Priyanka, if you can switch back to the presentation, please. Yes, so this is where all the documentation and everything is. If you can just go to the next slide, please. Right. So in terms of the hackathon, again, this is a few more details on the hackathon. The hackathon will be from 14th to 17th of July, which is in about a week's time. We have a total prize pool of 60 lakhs, and one of the challenges, the first prize is for 10 lakhs. So please keep your eye out for the challenges. We plan to release the challenges on the 12th evening, which is a day before the hackathon starts, right? Moreover, it's a hybrid version. We have it both physically in Pune. If you folks would like to attend this hackathon and physically be present, you can meet us all in Pune, or you can participate online. Please do go ahead and register for this hackathon. The hackathon will have two sets of challenges. One is an integration challenge, and the second one is an innovation challenge. In the integration challenge, it'll be pretty much about the flows that you guys have seen. It'll be about how to build an interoperable, an app which offers an interoperable physical consultation booking, teleconsultation booking, lab appointment booking, and ambulance booking. Those are the broad, there's a broad spectrum of the integration challenges that will be out there. On the innovation side, yesterday, Dr. Geram had pointed out certain, technological challenges that plague delivery of healthcare, especially in digital settings. And they have been shaped as problem statements for you guys to come in, pitch ideas and solve for, right? If you can go to the next page, please. Right, so the next step is fairly easy. Please do sign up for the hackathon. You can also explore your role as an EUA or an HSPA or both and sign up on the sandbox. We will be sending you guys participant guidelines and a checklist once you sign up for the UHI hackathon. Next one, please. This is the last slide. Right. So in terms of hackathon submission checklist, we will have a full checklist out and some of the key things that you will have to, this is a precursor to keep in mind is that, again, the philosophy that we are following in NHA is that whatever software that's built for the country, and we want to keep it open, not just in terms of participation, but also in terms of what comes out of it. So the challenges will also require a certain amount of code to be put out in the open. So please be aware of that. And additional information on the hackathon, including submissions, mandatory requirements, jury, and all, will be provided shortly, right? So that's it on the hackathon. I think without further ado, we can jump right into the questions. We have had a lot of questions over here, and I was looking at the questions that are there. I just want to quickly address, some of the questions. I think on a conceptual level, just addressing, one thing very, very quickly. You can be a full-fledged end-to-end provider, right? You can be an application that is there with a pharmacist, with a doctor, and with a patient or with a user, right? It's all about splitting that application up and having that simplified view that Ravi had presented. In the middle, it is just the UHI layer comes in, right? And as an application right now, even if you're a full-fledged end-to-end application, if you're on the user side, you're restricted, the user is restricted within that particular network of doctors that have been established, or that particular network of pharmacies that have been established for search for services. When you join yourself with UHI, when you integrate with UHI, your patient will get a wider number of doctors and pharmacies to choose from. And similarly, your doctors will get a larger pool of patients to consult from, right? So it's just about breaking these up and looking at them from the perspective of a service provider and an end user, right? We have 3 hands raised up. I would request one thing. Please do restrict your questions to 1 question and then 1 follow-up so that everybody gets a chance to ask questions. Having said that, let's start with Sai, please. Go ahead, Sai. We can hear you. Sai, we can't hear you.
He's on mute. Sai, you want to ask any question? Okay, probably we can move on to next one. Upendra has some question.
Yeah. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. First of all, it's a very great tech presentation. It's an awesome design from product tech and the Webrtc perspective, and I loved it. A lot of work has gone into it. It's clearly visible. And thanks a lot to the whole team for putting the great effort. And I have a couple of questions, and I will start with the first one. Two questions in total. So it's very good that we are providing the best for for the patients. But from the doctor's perspective, right, there is a lot of data that need to be inputted. That means when I looked at the app, right, I mean, the doctor has to enter a lot of data. When I had an interaction with the doctor, said doctors generally hate to enter a lot of details as it's time consuming. Given the skewed ratio of the doctors to the patient, to improve the efficiency of the doctors, are there any plans to give delegated permissions to nurses or a medical staff for entering some of the details? I mean, can they can the doctors take help of the medical staff to support these ones?
Right, Upendra, I'd
So
just like to see, the thing is that the NHA's main role, and this is very important to understand, NHA's main role is just the orchestrator of this entire ecosystem, right? Our main role, our fundamental role, is to only maintain that UHI gateway and make sure that the requests that are coming from the UA end and that are going to the HSPN and vice versa, those requests are relayed in a timely and fair fashion, right? So from a product standpoint, right, if you believe that a better implementation of all of this is, let's say that nurse enters all of the information and doctor just provides the teleconsultation. If the doctor is able to manage that, then that's great. Please go ahead and implement that. In terms of user experiences, that is completely on your end, who are the application providers, to build that out. You guys have your ears to the market. You guys understand the market a lot better. So you guys will be a lot better to develop those features. Ours is just a reference in implementation, right? It is just an implementation to say, how it is, right? I mean, we have all seen this with Beam and with Google Pay, right? Beam was a very basic application, whereas Google Pay really changed the game when it comes to, how it interacts with people who are paying for these transactions, right? So, it is completely up to you, as long as you're following the basic guidelines and the policies that are released by the government and the ministry, right? Amol.
So I have a better analogy here, Vivek. So we are providing you the gas and probably the kadai to make your own khichdi, okay? And we are, we are giving you probably the basic ingredients which you can add. Now you want to add ghee, you want to add whatever any other ingredient, make the best taste out of it. I think the universe is the limit for you. You can think about anything.
Got it.
Yes.
So,
Am I audible now?
yeah, you're audible.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Vivek. Thank you very much. So my question is on the video calls. So we have two implementations, EUA and HSPA, and we register on the like a particular patient registers on the EUA application. And as the video call, does it happen on the EUA end or does it happen on the HSPA end? And if it happens completely on the EUA end, like is the doctor also supposed to register on the EUA, or is there a bridge that is made available where the WebRTC works on both ends?
So, Vivek, let me just start with it. Probably you can take it later on. So,
Sure.
I think again, I mean, we are giving you the direction. It could be anyways. Right now, what we have done is that we are the doctor is initiating the call. Tomorrow, in your EUA application, you can give that permission. That the patient can initiate a call. So we are giving you the base. You have to build your house on that piece of land. So it could be anything.
It's not. My follow-up would be, it's not just initiation, right? Like my question is that even if the doctor is initiating the call, do they initiate the call on the EUA end, or do they initiate the call on the
No, no,
HSP
no,
end?
All right, so
no, no,
let me
no.
see over here, right? It's essentially about two ends joining, right? So in our implementation, after having spoken to doctors and after seeing the different experiences they had, what we decided is that on the EUA end, the patient cannot initiate the call. The
Right.
patient will be
No,
in a waiting room.
Vivek,
And on the
Vivek,
doctor's
Vivek,
end, right?
sorry to interrupt you. I
Yeah.
probably is asking a technical question that where
Yes,
is the
yes, Amol.
Oh,
the-
okay,
so,
cool.
so
Got it.
let me take that. So like I explained during the thing, so the answer and the offer helps you establish an one-to-one connection or peer-to-peer connection
Right.
between the two participants. Correct.
Right.
So currently, as I said, the typical implementation of WebRTC is having a signaling server where all participants have joined, and someone sends an offer and sends it. It could be broadcasted to any of them, and any of them can accept it and send back an answer to that. Boss, I want to connect.
Right.
So, having said that, currently what I said, you can have a central server. You can use one of the APIs which we have provided to transfer this answer and offer. I mean, the implementation could be at any level.
Right.
Plus, there is one flexibility that you can send a URL of any third-party application through the protocol, stating that you can use this URL. If it's Zoom, it will be deep linked. The Zoom app will open up on your phone, and the Zoom app will open on the um,
Understood.
doctor's phone.
Understood.
So,
Thank you
so,
so much.
so that is the flexibility. I hope I understood your question and I could
Yes.
answer it. Okay,
Perfect.
great, great.
Just one more question, if you may.
Sure,
So,
sure.
like as Vivek mentioned, as you also mentioned, we're using OpenEMR. Like you are using OpenEMR for the HSP.
Correct. Open
But like
MRS.
the ABDM guidelines like sort of specify fire, and they have certain artifacts for fire. So why is that particular standard
So,
not
so,
being?
so, so that is again a question. See, fire probably mostly importantly implementing the medical record transaction encounters and all the probable PII details which we need to probably have that standardized thing. Here we are trying to standardize this protocol at a transaction level so that everyone can use it, and it is much simpler. Probably
Understood.
we can say that. So
Understood.
yes, your point is very valid. We can use fire, but then there are other things also, like ambulance booking is there, or many other features which we are going to add. Probably currently, I think there are only 4 or 5 resources which have been developed by CDEC for Indian setup.
Yeah.
Not sure. So not more than that. So again,
6. Yeah.
yeah. So once we have that, then probably we can shift. But I think this is a very simpler protocol, and anyone could answer, use it and understand it. So yeah, I mean, I don't have a specific answer for this, but I think
Yeah.
this works.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Pranav, you can go next.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So my question is, the demo app that you showed in the presentation. So is government planning to launch such an app on large scale?
So I think we don't, Vivek, we don't have. Kiran sir is there?
No,
Kiran
so
sir?
no, Kiran sir is not there. The government may decide to launch it, but either ways, the thing is that, I mean, again, I would keep going back to the analogy of Beam versus the other application. Even if it's launched, it's just as a technology demonstrator than actually being a service application, right? So, and which is also one of the reasons why we are keeping the APKs out in the open for everybody to, open up and see what's inside and use parts of, right? So, I think I would like to allay any concerns that that people may have of this being a competitor app in the ecosystem by to any extent. We will make sure that this is not essentially in competition to all the other applications that are out there, right? But please note that this is only with reference to the reference applications that we are building. There are certain applications out there, such as eSanjeevani, Arogya Setu, all of these applications that you guys might have heard of as well, which provide these OPD services already, or teleconsultation services already, and they will also be coming onto UHI, right? And through that, they will be providing services. So while these reference EUA and HSP applications will make sure that it is not in direct competition with anyone, it's just as a technology demonstrator, there will be other applications out there that will be UHI compliant by the government.
Thanks a lot, sir, for answering that. Sir, so as I mentioned yesterday, so it's a follow-up to my question yesterday. So I am building my own healthcare-based app, health and wellness-based app, which is an aggregator. So now, frankly telling, I want to just understand if I do want to integrate with NHI or ABDM, then why should I do it? And this is because it is open,
So,
right? You can understand
so
I will have to linked with doctors, etc.
Yeah,
For the
yeah.
yeah. So
So Pranav, I wanted to answer this yesterday. I didn't get a
yes, sir,
chance.
yes,
So, so don't call me sir. You can call me Amod. So
yeah.
see, you are so I might understand very less about business things, okay? Because I couldn't ever manage my money, so I don't understand much about. But the first thing comes to my mind. See, you are an aggregator company, right? You have to market yourself somewhere, probably starting with a smaller location today, say the city you are living in, and probably the word will spread, and you'll move on to a larger area. Now consider this: before being an aggregator, if you create an EUA app, right? Now this EUA app is connected with our network. You have all the plethora of services provided at just a single click using your app goes on, it becomes the most best app used for UHI. That I hope that happens, and it will. So you already have the doctors on board who know that you are providing an UN application and people are using it, right? Now coming back to your aggregator business, now you see the doctors know that you made this app. They are you. I mean, people are using it. Is very popular. So how easier it would be to be an aggregator after becoming an UA, coming on the open network, people recognizing your app, and then you becoming an aggregator.
Okay. Yes,
So
yes,
so
that's a great input, sir.
do you I mean, I hope I am making sense
Yeah,
that
yeah,
we are giving you यानी प्लेट दे रहे हैं आपको कि आप ले लो, आपका वहां पे you can put in your decoration and all these things saying that Pranav Kumar app, something like that. Everyone knows it, and then you approach the doctor saying that I am creating this aggregation app today, please come and join. I think that would be easier for you to onboard doctors as an aggregator app when people know about you already, rather than going as an aggregator app and convincing them to be on your app.
Right,
I
sir.
hope yeah.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Sir, now
Right.
if I'm understanding your sir input clearly, so you are suggesting me to take it open first and have the traffic, and then sir eventually I think I will have to make it a bit constrained since I cannot.
Pranav, I think I'll just like to come in over here, right? And probably we can move on after that. See, the thing is that with UHI, we are trying to, create a digital health service economy, which does not really exist right now, right? And even if it does, it's a fairly small economy, right? Very genuinely, while we can postulate in terms of how it's going to grow and what changes it will bring about, even we don't know, right? And given all the tools that we are building, I think you, again, because you have your ears to the market, you would probably be the best person to judge in terms of what kind of direction your business or your application should take. But the fact is that UHI, if it goes live and if we are able to establish that network, it will most probably increase the adoption of digital health services from by the patients. Doctors will be more incentivized to provide services digitally, right? So it's about, we're trying to grow the market as much as we can. I think in terms of the business plan that you put together and how you go forward with it, I think it's up to you to predict the future and take it forward. Yeah.
Right, sir. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
So just one last technical question, if you allow me.
Pranav, I think there are a lot of people over here, but
Okay.
we'll come back to you if there's some time left towards the end. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, Tushar, if you can go next. Yeah.
Yeah, hello, thank you for the session. So I have a few questions around there is one application, ABA application, another one is this UHI. So from a user point of view, do these applications work as a different application, or it will be a single application with a single login right now? Because I have seen somewhere in the documentation that there is a different login API for this EUA application.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
So for
May I answer that?
Yeah,
Vivek?
sure.
Yeah, Tushar, actually, ABA is a separate application, which this has got nothing to do with the EUI. ABA is for creating the ABA IDs. Okay, so if you from the EUA application, if you wanted to connect to the ABA application, which is nothing but an existing building blocks. So you need to register into our sandbox and get the API keys.
Okay, and now the second part is like from doctor point of view, how will the doctor will going to upload the prescription? Like there should be, because in the ABA application we are following an FHI format, and I can't see this flow in the doctor application where doctor can upload a prescription that is within the guidelines of an FIR.
Correct. So Tushar, we have not implemented this right now. So eventually, most of the features in ABHA we will incorporate in UA application, and those flow will remain the same. So I see your question here where you're talking about a client ID. So probably you are already ABDM compliant. That's what you're trying to say, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can use the same client ID. We are using this as a sandbox because this is not a production grade application. Either you can use sandbox, or you will have to change the APIs to the production APIs and pull the ABHA profile and then push it ahead. So the application only pulls the metadata of the ABHA address. So that for that only we are using the login, just to identify the patient is legit and the doctor is legit.
Okay, so in going forward, so now suppose we have a flow of prescription upload and all these things. So from end user point of view, like where should I go to see my prescription, in the Tele Consultation app or ABA app? Because ABA
So
app puts these records.
yeah,
And
you can. I think Vivek or Farooq sir, I think both will be usable, right? Once we have that workflow in place.
Yes.
Yes. See, the thing is that at the end of the day, the way we envision all of this is that there is, what is happening in an ABHA application is essentially exchange of health records, right?
Right.
And when we have shown the UA application, that's exchange of digital health services, right? In the long term, it doesn't really make sense to have them as two separate applications. These two workflows, which is exchange of health records and exchange of digital health services, will be housed within the same application. Perhaps will become a little bit more centric to the kind of user it is, right? So if you're targeting the end customer or the patient, then probably you'll make a customer-centric application. Whereas if you're targeting a doctor who is providing these applications and viewing these records, then you'll probably make a more doctor-centric application. But we see both of these, services sort of merging under the same umbrella in the long run.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And
Thanks,
Tushar, there
Tushar.
is a separate construct which is called HICM, and which is the document exchange platform. And ideally, your prescription should sit in the like HMIS part. Okay, and from the HMIS part through the consent manager, those documents can be interchanged, and for that, the EUA can play a big role there.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tushar. Raghavan, if you want to ask a question.
Right. Yeah. Hi. I'm very new to this UHI. Yesterday only I got to know. So I'm building one health tech product. So a couple of questions, quick questions I have. One is I just want to fetch all the facilities, healthcare facilities, be it hospitals, clinics, or polyclinics, whatsoever. So I believe I should be able to query with a city name, and if not a particular region within a city. First question is that on how that, what are the options for me to query or identify the list of facilities. The second is, since I'm new, what exactly is the starting point in terms of a documentation for me to start my integration or to do some trial? Is that a sandbox that is the starting point for me, or is it something else on the GitHub or anywhere I can look at?
So a couple of things over here. I'll answer the second question first and let Farooq sir take the first one. In terms of the second question, your starting point as of right now can be sandbox.abdm.gov.in, which has all the sandbox documentation there is, right? I think you can spend about 2-3 hours just reading the documentation that's out there, which clearly lays out how do you become an ABDM compliant application, or how do you become a UHI compliant application, what all you have to do, right? So there's a lot of material out there for you to explore. We will also be sending out a cheat sheet soon, probably early next week, in terms of where to start, where are the different resources, what can you refer to, so on and so forth. And of course, these presentations that you have seen over the last 2 days and these videos will be put out, right? So hopefully all of these put together will probably help you to see where you can start from. In terms of the facilities, all the facilities are stored in what we call the health facility registry, and we'll be releasing an API on that soon, right? So that was your first question. Farooq sir, can you elaborate on that? Yeah.
Yeah. See, actually, we have a health facility registry, which is a production grade. So currently you can query that from the browser. And like very soon we'll be releasing the public API for searching a doctor or searching a healthcare professional. And the URL for that is hpr.abdm.gov.in for the health professional registry, whereby you can search a doctor or a dentist or a nurse. And from the facility perspective, the URL is hfr.abdm.gov.in. So whereby you can search all those health facilities. Vivek.
Okay, got it. Yeah, fine.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Will I get the recordings of these 2 days of videos? Because I missed quite a lot today only I joined.
Right. So we will be putting up these videos on the NHA YouTube channel. We have had previous sessions like this, not on UHI, but other sessions on ABDM, which are all uploaded to the NHA YouTube channel. If not by this evening, by tomorrow morning, you should have the video recordings of both these sessions on that YouTube channel for you to see.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Krishna, if you want to ask your question, please.
Yeah. Hi. I have one question regarding this source code. So the application which you showed, this application, does it have all the milestones complaints source code? That ADHM, ABDM milestones, whatever we have, M1, M2, M3, M4. So these are all integrated samples, or how it will be?
No. So the two applications that we have showcased today, EU and HSP, are specifically only for UHI, right? The M1 integration, which is querying for your essentially creation of ABHA or querying ABHA or authentication through ABHA, that has been implemented on the EU application. But M2 and M3, which is exchange of records, has not been implemented on either of the applications. Right? So I think if you're looking for the source code for M1, which is the creation of ABHA and verification through ABHA, that will be available. But M2 and M3, which involves the exchange of records and linking of records, that is not available as a part of the source code for these two, right? But having said that, I think there are already code snippets that have been put out there by people who have integrated in the past. If you can just write to us, I think we can provide those code snippets to you for fast tracking your process for M2 M3 integration.
Yeah, thank you. Because you started doctor side also, where the patient records need to be seen. So I thought that is integrated M2 and M3. Okay.
Not as of now. Not as of
now. Okay. Yeah, I think that's all from my side.
Thank you, Krishna. Agam, do you have a question?
Thank you, Vivek and Amod, for the wonderful tech presentation. I was having a simple question, like as the facilities are registered, health professional and the health facilities, like only clinics and doctors have been mentioned, and along with that laboratories and ambulance services also has been mentioned in some of the presentations and things. But pharmacies has been only mentioned by you, Vivek. So are those pharmacists registered as a professional and the facility as a pharmacist would be available in the search responses and in the UE apps and the HSPA apps as part of the registration to those, because they don't come in the part of the teleconsultations?
No, probably Vivek, I can from a technical perspective, I can answer first, then probably a functional you can take it. So currently, see, it's a simple system what we have built. Okay, at the back end, currently we have an open MRS where I have the providers listed or registered, right? Similarly, if you have any backend or some database where you have the pharmacist list, you can just pick that up probably when you get the JSON snippets and all these things. It is just querying what data you have, right? From sending a query, instead of doctor, I'm sending some pharmacist, I mean pharmacist near me probably. And if one of your HSPA databases has that data, of course it can send you back. We don't restrict it. As Vivek said, we have a gateway which will help you connect with the other world. If someone is already providing those services, you can definitely query that. That is from the technical perspective. Vivek, you want to take it from the functional and the other policy thing?
Folks, from a functional and policy standpoint, right now, pharmacists are not a part of HPR, which is the Healthcare Professional Registry. But that does not mean in the future they will not be. I think uh, the majority of work that's being done right now is being done on the drug registry side on the pharmacy. So from a NHA standpoint, I think the focus is right now to get the drug registry out, which is a registry of all the drugs that are out there, and
Okay.
they I think the consultation paper on drug registry is on the NHA website. So you can just go and refer to that in terms of what we plan to do in terms of standardizing drugs. And one of the main aims of that is to prevent counterfeits in the market, so on and so forth, right? And in parallel, we'll be working with the pharmacists and the pharmacies as well to make sure that certain goals that are mentioned there are achieved, right? So Agam, to your question, right now, pharmacists are currently not a part of HPR. Doesn't mean that they will not be in the future. And I think if there are limited number of pharmacies as a part of HFR. We'll try and get them on board after certain calls from the NHA leadership.
Yeah, Vivek, there is a small, like I wanted to add something more on top of that. See,
Right.
regarding the pharmacies as well as the physiotherapist and all these things, so this comes under as the allied health professionals. So for which we have started like preparing the software. But the challenges is currently is that they do not have the proper councils and all. So probably it may take some time for us to come up with all these things, but the work is going on.
So yeah, as
Absolutely.
a part, like we have been the software provider, like as EMR is for the doctors, we are the ERP systems for the pharmacies right now. So we do have the KYC list of such pharmacies as a healthcare facility registry. So if we can KYC them over the registry and just to locate them, not to sell the medication, like as you told, drug registry part has been working, like NH has been working over the drug registry thing and everything, but they won't be able to sell the medicine or take the prescription. But if they can be located, that can also be like helpful for us. Else as saying that won't be helpful if then they are becoming the part of this hackathon or UHI is not right now the right phase for us.
Agam, again, I'd leave that to your judgment in terms of whether you want to be a part of the UHI hackathon right now or later. But your point taken, I think we'll take it into consideration in terms of services for pharmacies and sharing of health records with the pharmacies and take that forward. Yeah.
So Vivek, I think what he is also trying to say that if they are just discoverable, right?
Yeah, that's the
So
point, right?
So just from the UHI gateway perspective, that some EUA implements a pharmacy search, and they are just discoverable. I think we should also take that first, think about that first, and then probably the record sharing with follow on later on.
Right, absolutely. I think we should come up with flows for that internally and then probably think through how it can happen. Right. But again, Amod, as you pointed out, it's open. So if you guys want to develop something on top
Yes,
of it and
yes.
develop
So
a network around it, that's completely up to you guys.
So just to add one point, so basically what Farooq sir and Vivek are saying, that ABDM blocks with HFR or HPR does not have that facility, right? But if you have your own data and like you fit within the policies what are described, and you want to be describable on the network, I mean it's open, so you can just come and you know do that. But probably someone has to develop that EUA on the other side where he can search it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Arvind. Kishan?
Hi, thank you. My question was that if I understand correctly, UHI network would be facilitating the discovery and scheduling or booking of the appointments, right? So uh, how would the later parts of the block will be handled? Like partially it was answered that if it's a teleconsultation, WebRTC is something that you are going to use, right? So who will be hosting the signaling server? UHI gateway or the HSPA would be the one would be.
Amod, can I just tell from a functional perspective, just one very quick, and then I'll hand it over to you. Just very, very quickly. Again, the role of NHA and ABDM and UHI, right, is just to maintain that gateway, right? It's just to enable that search and discovery service, right? After that, it's a peer-to-peer interaction that happens between the EUA and the HSP app. By EUA, I don't mean the reference EUA or the reference HSPA. Let's take an example of 3MG or DocSpot or something like that, right? On either side, right? So, Farukh, if you can just mute your. Yeah, thank you. So it's about a peer-to-peer connection between these two ends, right? That exists. The gateway is not there in the middle, right? So between these two parties, let's say they agree on some proprietary protocol that just exists between the two of them. So let's say tomorrow, if 1MG and Tracto came together and said that we are going to use a proprietary protocol for teleconsultation for all teleconsultations that happen between our two applications, that's completely fine, right? Because it's not happening through the gateway. They can go ahead and set their own standards just between the two of them. That's a contract that exists between these two applications. So there's no prescription per se, but there are certain pieces in terms of the information that's exchanged that will make everything more standardized, and that's what we are sort of giving as a part of UHI. Amod, Ravi, if you want to add to it.
Yeah, I mean, currently we are just as a reference application, we are hosting in our own capacity. Okay, but it is not like a production grade or something like that. Tomorrow, like I said, also I'll repeat myself. So tomorrow, if someone is having a signaling server which is like open, so currently it is probably secured by having a payment and having a centralized server. Tomorrow, anyone using the messaging system which we have built over the protocol, you can just connect WebRTC. You don't need a signaling server. So again, so how you approach the WebRTC, it's like you have number of ways to do that. Currently we are having the signaling server because we wanted to show the teleconsultation capabilities. Someone can come use and develop on that, and go on and build their own server, anything open source server. I am fine with it. It's just to show the capability, how we can do it, and how we can leverage this technology to solve this problem of teleconsultation.
Okay, so at the moment, UHI is not going to even provide some specs so that the later stages are interoperable, because right now it seems that each platform will have to do a proprietary direct integration to complete the loop, right?
So for WebRTC, I won't say that, because WebRTC itself is open spec and all the specifications are there. If you are talking
But you
about
will allow you will allow some way to exchange these URLs, WebRTC URLs. Is it going to be part of some exchange?
For the hackathon?
Both for production as well as hackathon.
So
Like,
for hackathon, we will be providing a server for WebRTC implementation. If you guys want to check it out. I'm not sure, because whether we will. First of all, the decision of going into production is something which is not yet confirmed. And second thing, if we go, then probably we'll have to look at whether we can commercialize rather, productionize the WebRTC signaling server which we have right now. Or you can propose the participants can propose any innovative thought around this, and we surely can take a look and implement it if it's benefits all of the community.
like my
It's more
suggestion
of a
would be is,
policy and the leadership call. So
correct.
so my suggestion is, if we have a way to exchange even URLs, like a meeting links, that
Right.
would be
So
beneficial. Otherwise, yeah.
yes, that's a part of the protocol as it exists right now, right? So you can
Okay.
exchange URL. So the HSPA can send a URL to the UA, and it is up to the UA to implement that screen and essentially go to, let's say, a Zoom or a Google Meet or whatever. That's a part of the protocol, and that's being implemented as well. So that's there. You don't have to worry about that. The
Yeah, it's
question, just to keep
flexible
on saying.
enough to do that. Yeah.
The question
Okay, okay,
essentially comes in when it comes to the main protocol, which is underneath WebRTC, how do you send as all of that? That is an open market question per se that we still have to deal with.
okay. And I have a small, quick follow-up question. Can I go
Sure,
ahead
sure,
with
sure.
that?
Please go ahead.
Yeah. So in case of payment, the proof of payment, is there a way to machine verifiable way to say that the booking was successful, or it's up to like it's manual confirmation that needs to be there?
No. So it's essentially a payment gateway, right? So we assume that on the EOA and the HSPA side, they will be implementing payment gateways for sending and receiving money. Right? We haven't implemented it on our side on the reference EOA and HSPA application, but we do expect the apps which are going to be in production in the market to implement payment gateways to ensure those pieces happen smoothly and without dispute.
And provide payment links, is that the goal? Like
Right,
during
right,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Kishan. Banu, if you want to ask your question, please.
Yeah, hi. So I recently am starting to building a healthcare provider service. So I've been exploring the ABDM stack and UH right now. So I have a couple of questions. One targeted towards hackathon and one for later. I'll ask the later question. So right now we have two different, from what I know, what I see, we have two different registries. One is ABDM registries that is connecting all of the components, and one registry is for UHI. Is there a plan to get both of them under one single umbrella, so that it would be easier for the developers? That's question one. And question two would be for the hackathon, is it completely concentrated on the UHI, or do we also get access to ABDM registries to try out, build flows, to having using both the registries, use an end-to-end application?
Right. Great questions, Banu. I think both of them are connected. So I'll just answer the hackathon question first. Hackathon, you will get access to both the UHI gateway and the rest of the building blocks that are there with ABDM. While the integration part of hackathon is concentrated around UHI, you are free to explore other components of ABDM and also in terms of optionally implement some of the ABDM APIs as well. The reason why we have two separate registrations per se is because the key mechanisms for accessing ABDM APIs so far and the APIs that are there with UHI are slightly different. So we'll have to provide you two different keys, and therefore the registration process is slightly different. But we will make sure that it is not too cumbersome to implement on your end, and probably in the longer term see how we can sort of merge these two if that's absolutely required. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. So okay, I got it. Just one more follow-up question.
Right.
So right now there are two different registries. Is there any plan to integrate one into other, or they're gonna sit two different forever?
Oh no. So see, the thing is that it's we'll make sure that the process of getting if you're already a part of the ABDM sandbox, right? You will not have to do anything extra to get the keys for UHI sandbox. You just have to indicate that you are interested in participating in UHI and being a EOA or an HSP application or both, and we will give you that key. So I don't think you'll have to worry from the difficulty of registration or getting the keys perspective. Will make that process as smooth as possible.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Suman, would you like to ask a question?
Hi, thank you. Sir, I want to ask a single question that sometimes a single doctor practice in multiple clinics. So is there any way to search the connected clinics associated with a single doctor with the UHI API?
One of the implementations that we had with respect to the functional flows, and I'll just give it over to Amod after I explain this, is that let's say if the doctor is searched through their HP ID, right? So my HP ID is let's say I'm a doctor, my HP ID is a unique HP ID, right? And I am registered let's say through an Apollo teleconsultation and through a Practo teleconsultation and through eSanjeevani, the results that will be thrown out if a patient searches for me through my HPID will be that it's the same doctor, but it's is available through 3 different platforms, and these are the rates through from each of these platforms, right? So that's the entire concept of UHI, that it shows every single place that the doctor is practicing and what the charges for every single place is, right? So then the patient, can choose, let's say, can choose the eSanjeevani option, saying that, the user experience is the best, or can just go ahead and use the Apollo option, saying that, it's the closest to my house. And like, let's say if something happens, I can just go there, or I trust Apollo more than I trust eSanjeevani or Practo, right? So the option is in there. So it's about the search parameters that are entered and what gets thrown back. We do expect that some sort of standardization to come in through HPID and all of that, and results collated and shown, shown in a more wholesome manner, right? Amod, you had something on this?
No, no, I think that's perfectly well answered. So if you have seen the screen which Vivek shared, so each doctor we have different rates. If you remember,
Yeah.
probably when you go through the presentation, you will see. So we do have that in the pipeline, that we aggregate the same doctor practicing in different clinics or hospitals into one card, where you can see that where he is practicing, and you can select one of them.
Okay. I have another question, that sometimes doctors the time schedule is not weekly schedule. Is there some a specific date on a month, like first Sunday of every month? So how can you handle that type of time schedules on UHI?
So basically, I think that is where the human intervention comes in, right? So what time I am scheduling is up to me. Our job is to search for it and show whatever the available times are, right? There are calendar. So currently the calendar, I think if the doctor is participating in multiple clinic, like from your reference to your previous question, then I think it's the onus is on the doctor for now to have a calendar which is not overlapping other appointments. So currently it's there in that sense, but later probably we can think about it. It's a good suggestion.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Pranav, do you want to ask a question?
Yes, sir. So, sir, first key regarding the last answer, ki, last question's question, ki Practo, eSanjeevani, for example, 3 apps are shown for one doctor. So now, who fed ki I am available on these platforms? The doctor fed it, or the third-party apps, that is Practo, eSanjeevani, fed it there? And how will it get diverted to those apps if the patient selects it?
Right. So it's about, so under the current architecture, and we hope that this will evolve to something that is easier, right? I mean, the way we came through this, and I would like to explain this process a little bit. Let's say I'm a doctor. I will be practicing in a hospital, and I'll have my private practice as well, right? So when I'm practicing in that hospital, because I have dedicated, let's say, morning 9 to 12 to that hospital, and evening 5 to 7, I practice in my own clinic. Because I've dedicated that morning slot to the hospital and the hospital is paying me for it, the hospital might mandate that any teleconsultations that you take should be through the hospital application, right? So in that sense, the time slots that will be visible through an Apollo teleconsultation application will be for 9 to 12 for those days that the doctor has committed. Whereas, let's say the doctor wants to do some private practice, and then the doctor says 5 to 7, I'm available for teleconsultation. And that will be through, let's say, whatever application that the doctor chooses. Let's say the doctor chooses 1 mg for teleconsultation, right? So it'll be through 1 mg from 5 to 7 in the evening that the doctor has signed up, right? So the doctor signs up individually, or in the first case, the hospital might sign up the doctor as well, right? We'll need to see how the market evolves when it comes to this. And then these are the options that are shown. So for now, the doctor has to sign up, or somebody has to sign up on the doctor's behalf individually for each of these applications, and those are the options that are shown. So, does that answer your question?
Sir,
yeah.
Yes. So my part that is left is ki if I'm a patient and I see these 3 options, Practo, eSanjeevani, 1 mg. So the person who will be developing this EUA, so like you are expecting government won't be developing the EUA, like the
Right.
demo one you showed to us. So the
Right.
person who developed this new EUA, so can it enable clicking of one of those Practo or 1mg options by the patient, and can it get diverted to that platform?
So it won't get diverted to the platform. So, right.
Vivek,
Just
just
one second. The flow over here, just to explain the flow. Just the flow over here is that I am in whatever EO application that I am on. Me as a customer, I will never get out of the application per se, right? When I'm choosing a doctor to consult a doctor on a Practo application, the doctor will be on Practo. I will stick to whatever application that I'm on. Let's say I'm on the government EU application, right? So I'll stick to my government EU application. The doctor will be on their Practo application or their 1mg application. And essentially, when the tele consultation happens, it happens between my application and their whatever other application exists on the other side. Amod?
Okay, sir.
Yeah, so my only thing is that don't look at Practo 1mg as from an application perspective. Look at them from a provider perspective. Today, probably it has been the mindset that Practo means the health app, and you can book the appointment and use their app only. So look at them as a hospital or a service provider, and that's what we are showing them, that this doctor is registered with Practo. Now if we are interoperable, it doesn't matter which HSPA they are using or EUA we are using. So eventually they are coming on the same network and we are connecting with them, right?
And Pranav, the most of your doubts will be cleared as and when the government comes up with the market rules. And the market rules,
Okay,
like in the yesterday's talk, Kiran Gopal sir was talking about, no? So,
Okay, so sir, actually I'm very much excited about this. So I want to understand every nook and corner ki how can I implement it in my venture. So that is why such many doubts are arising.
So for that you will have to participate in the hackathon and interact with us.
Sure, sir.
Great
Sure.
plug-in, Amod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Raghavan,
Great, sir. Looking forward to it.
Hey, yeah, my question is a result of the previous discussion only. So what I understood from the discussion is that if anybody wants to know the appointment availability of the doctor, the UHA system tries to find their current appointment, which they have already allotted in multiple application, which something UHA pulls and shows it back to us so that we can decide when a doctor is available. So that being a first question can be correct or not, that you can confirm me. The second question is there any like kind of a booking system that you from the UHA opens up to an individual doctor or to the facilities at which they can keep updating, or is there can any auto sync between the facility booking system on with a common UHA booking system so that it can be a single point where a doctor can update and we all can be aware of their availability? Anything like that?
Right. So, okay, I'll just talk about the plans that we have for UHI coming forward and the way we see it evolving. Right now, the calendar exists as a part of the HSPA application itself, right? So it's very localized for that application. We do want to bring in the concept of a global calendar, right, for a doctor, wherein this global calendar essentially pulls the calendars from different application, or essentially the doctor updates it in one place and it gets populated in the various applications that the doctor is using. So we will be working on that concept probably in the near future in terms of a global calendar. But right now, the calendars that are there are restricted to the locally to the applications they exist in. And what the gateway is doing or the UA is doing in terms of showing the results is showing the results from these calendars that exist locally in these applications.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that answers.
Yeah. I see no more questions around here. I'd just like to quickly take a few of the questions that are there, in the chat. One of the questions is with respect to, again, it's a very business policy question with respect to revenue sharing between EUA and doctor and HSPA. Now, in terms of the commercialization, the protocol enables the fare to be split. So let's say the fare is being taken by, for a consultation is being taken by an EUA. So let's say the EUA is charging 530 rupees for a consultation. It will need to, as a part of market rules, it will need to show clearly that 500 rupees is going to the doctor, 10 rupees is staying with me, which is the EUA, and 10 rupees is going, or 20 rupees is going to the HSPA, right? So that is the split of the money, and that is something that can be individual contracting that can happen within the ecosystem of EUAs and HSPAs in terms of how the fare split happens, right? So a lot of these questions are also dealing with, things that we have already covered. So probably once the once the presentations are out there, you guys will be able to see a lot more in detail in terms of what we have covered. And then of course you can write to us and write in the developer forums about the questions that you have. About the details about the integration and innovation challenges, we'll be releasing these challenges on the 12th evening. So please be tuned. Even if you are not part of the calls that we have on the 11th and 12th, you will receive a document clearly stating the challenges to your inbox on the 12th evening. Right. If there are no more questions, I would like to conclude this session. Thank you to all of you for joining in and patiently listening in. I hope the sessions were really useful. And I would also like to say that this entire effort was a lot of people working day in and day out. We did have absolutely wonderful leadership from NHA, Dr. Praveen Gedram, Dr. Arish Sharma, Kiran Gopal sir, but also a lot of actors outside of NHA. And of course, Amod and his big team had a big part to play in terms of getting everything together. I think we'll be running out of time or I can just if I keep saying names, we'll run out of time very, very quickly. So I hope to see all of you in Pune for the hackathon. And please do take care. Please do go through UHI and let's build this network together. Thank you all.
Hey, thanks Vivek. Thanks guys.
Thanks, Vivek.
Yeah.
Thanks, Amok. Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
Farooq sir. And I think we will hope to see all of you in Pune. Okay. Thank you. Bye.